August 5th, 2025. This is the meeting of the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee. I am detecting a quorum with myself, Vice Chair Cash, Councilmember Truffle, Rutherford, Sepulveda, and Wiener being present. Pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated section 844-112, time is set aside at the beginning of every meeting for public comment, but we did not have anybody signed up for public comment here today, so we will go ahead and roll into our agenda. I do have a proposed consent agenda, which is items 2 and 3. I'll go ahead and read those into the record, and if anybody wishes to remove something from consent, just let me know. So first we have RS 2025-1414, a resolution recognizing and honoring Shannon Martin and Katie Agnew for their extraordinary fundraising efforts in support of Metro Nashville Public Schools, sponsor Ewing, as well as RS 2025-1415, a resolution recognizing Homestyle Bakery for its 50 years of operation. Sponsors Style, Johnson, Ellis, Benton, Gadd, and Hancock. Anybody wish to remove any of those from consent? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for the consent agenda. So then going back, we will take up item number 1, which is RS 2025-1413, a resolution urging the Tennessee General Assembly to pass House Bill 1442 regarding the identification of law enforcement officers, sponsors Swara, Bradford, Benedict, Ellis, Stiles, Welsh, and Gadd. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. We do have a letter from Councilmember Swara, who is currently traveling back, asking us to support this piece of legislation. So particularly for those interested, HB 1442 essentially would require that all law enforcement officers operating within the state of Tennessee are required to identify themselves, and essentially because we've had in my opinion, roving gangs of masked men kidnapping people off of our streets. It's an incredibly pertinent piece of legislation right now. Do we have any discussion on it?
Can I know a little bit more? I didn't get a chance to read it.
Yeah, so House Bill 1442 is a piece of legislation that's proposed before the General Assembly by Representative Justin Jones. Essentially, what that state piece of legislation would do would be requiring that law enforcement officers who are operating in the state of Tennessee are required to identify themselves and essentially can't hide their identity, so that you can know who the officer is, badge number, and what agency they're with. Any further discussion?
I'm the daughter of a police officer. If my dad were, when he was serving, if he were called to do a specific job and somebody got his personal information and then went after his family, that is my only concern here. Being Jewish, I don't want anybody masked that's coming after me or you or anybody. So I'm really torn about how I want to manage this. So I'm still thinking about it. But that's where my head is.
I'll say this, council member, we have people who are impersonating ICE officers now, who are trying to, rob stores, break into homes, kidnap people. And so when you have such a mass number of federal agents, and we will be potentially doubling and tripling that amount with the new funding that just came down the pipe, it's causing a very dangerous situation. Now, when you are a law enforcement officer, you're already out there with your badge number and with your name, so if something goes wrong, or if somebody needs to follow up or name you in whatever case, they have that. So we're not asking for something more than we already require of our police officers.
That helps.
Is there any more language to that, or is that just they have to just be identified with their badge?
So in my cursory look of the legislation is that it essentially would prohibit law enforcement from being masked whenever they're in an official capacity. So from my perspective, part of the reason why why I support this legislation is very similar to what the Pro Tem just said, is that if there are ever any instances where there are blatant constitutional violations, and it's something that needs to be litigated both criminally and civilly, being able to particularly identify that person who has perpetuated that wrong is something incredibly important for holding these government agencies to account.
I like a lot what it says, but I still have questions, so I'm going to abstain for this particular time.
I am in support of the legislation and hope that they do pass it. I mean, these are public servants. They are operating on behalf of the public, and for any public servant to be able to act in secrecy and not be unable to be identified by the public, I think is just for us to be able to expect that a police officer of any stripe identifies themselves as they're carrying out duties is
You said if they have a mask, that would be considered not identifying.
I have the legislation pulled up, if you would like me to, I can, it's really quick.
By all means, yes.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilmember Benedict. So, as used in this section, law enforcement officer means an officer of local, state, or federal law enforcement agency or person acting on behalf of a local, state, or federal law enforcement agency. Except as provided below, it is an offense for a law enforcement officer to wear a mask, face covering, or personal disguise while interacting with the public in the performance of the law enforcement officer's official duties. Notwithstanding, a law enforcement officer may, while interacting with the public in performance of their duties, wear a mask or face covering that meets the OSHA N95 classification, so like for COVID reasons, or that is designed to protect exposure to smoke or other airborne particles during a state of emergency related to a natural disaster, or a SWAT team that needs to utilize gear to protect other officers' faces from physical harm while in the performance of SWAT duties. And then it is an offense for a law enforcement officer to interact with the public in the performance of the officer's official duties without clearly displaying the officer's name or badge number on the officer's uniform or other clothing in a manner that is visible to the public.
What if they're undercover?
I had the same question.
I mean, I get most of that. That makes sense. I think there's someplace in there that I worry about, because there are a lot of undercover police officers. Anyhow,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And I will say, a valid question, it's not necessarily my piece of legislation, but
That doesn't account for
yeah.
the undercover police officers. That's the only thing that I think I'm holding back on. Okay.
So what if we defer at one meeting to talk to the sponsor to get that
To get
added
both.
and then bring it back?
Well, so this.
Because that's a litmus test for me.
Yeah, so with this particular resolution, it's essentially stating our support for that action by the General Assembly.
Correct.
And so I don't have any personal feelings as to a deferral, but
It would really help if she was here to be able
Yeah.
to address that.
yeah, but I think
For me.
yeah, but I do recognize that sort of we're dealing with sort of separate legislative entities with the General Assembly, and whether or not the lead sponsor of that bill would be willing or amenable to any amendments to that piece of legislation. I think my hesitation is I'm not sure how much engagement we will have with the lead sponsor at the state level,
Right.
as to whether or not that would alter sort of the language or the trajectory of this resolution.
But it would at the very least offer us an opportunity to have our voice heard about that issue.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not coming up
Yeah.
immediately, we have the time.
Yeah, and that's a proper motion to make as well. So, but
So-
pro tem.
I would second a deferral. One meeting.
Did you move it?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, so we have a motion on the floor for a one meeting deferral. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor of deferral, let's do it by hands. Those in favor? Those opposed? Those not voting? All up to the chair.
No pressure.
Yeah, I hear exactly what y'all are saying, but I'm gonna vote against the motion for deferral. So that's 3 in favor, 3 against for a deferral. So that motion does not pass. So we're back on discussion on the resolution. Any further discussion?
I will say it's a non-binding resolution. What we could do is speak on the floor, encouraging the lead sponsor at the state legislature to consider that as a possible amendment.
Yep.
And we can talk to our
Sure.
state legislators themselves, and I don't think, I mean, the resolution doesn't say, only in this form, right? Like, I think I suspect, as happens with us in the legislative process, I would be shocked if the point that you brought up doesn't come up, and fine if they amend it that way, but I do want to support the general idea that we've got a problem that needs to be addressed.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote on the substance of the resolution. Those in favor? We'll do by hands. Wait, I wasn't looking up. Was there any further discussion?
No.
Okay, we'll do by hands. Those in favor? Those opposed? Not voting? So we've got 4 in favor, 0 against, 2 not voting to recommend approval. Next, we will move into board and commission appointments and nominations. We are going to go a little bit out of order on this one. First, item number 6, which is the Employee Benefit Board appointment of W. Mark Proctor for a term expiring on June 30th, 2028. That has been withdrawn. And then we're going to go to item number 16, which is the Stormwater Management Commission reappointment of Fiona Halter Abbott for a term expiring on July 8th, 2029. Yes, Ms. Abbott. Thank you for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Thank you.
Of course. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being reappointed to here today?
No.
So tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
Well, first of all, thank you for bumping me up in the agenda. School functions. I'm just, it's an honor to serve the community I've lived in for 18 years now.
And you said you've worked in this area for 18 years now?
Yes.
And so with stormwater management, I think that's something that everybody is hyper aware of, especially like in my district. Like back in April, we just sustained like a disaster declaration because of flooding and stormwater infrastructure not being able to handle the what was like 5 inches of rain an hour that we received for like 3-4 hours straight. And so so I guess my question is like, with your experience having been on the commission thus far, what are some of the lessons that you've learned and some of the things that you want to continue to try and implement during your tenure on the board?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that, every case is so nuanced that have come before the committee. That it really is a case-by-case basis. Obviously, this is a growing concern for, I think, everybody, nationally, right? And so, weighing specifically that, because the board is there for a reason, and so weighing what the variance is, but also weighing the concerns that are growing. And in some cases, I think it's hard, sometimes the mitigation actually helps, even though you're approving a variance. And I'm not saying that is what you do every time, but it is, every case is so different. And so, and the committee members, I really value everybody's opinions and working together. We all bring some different background.
Is there anything that, in your opinion, and feel free to speak candidly here, that Nashville has not been doing that we could or should be doing as it relates to stormwater mitigation?
I don't know if I'm the person to comment on that. I would defer to our staff. And, you know, I was just talking to Logan. We have people tenure at Metro Water who've been there for 20 plus years. I would defer to their expertise, candidly.
Perfect, yeah, completely understandable.
Our meeting's gonna be long enough as it is
Yes.
tonight.
Yeah. Pro Tem.
Thank you for your willingness to serve again. I do have a couple of comments and I guess concerns. Stormwater is one thing. I feel another layer of that we don't really talk about or address enough is sewage, right? And so when stormwater starts overflowing and then sewage also ends up backing up, these are two things that recently I was helping somebody out with in the most recent flood, in which they had a retaining wall that was able to stop a lot of the flood waters, even though the manhole that's in their backyard went up. But then the sewage back up into the home. And then when someone is trying to file a claim with Metro Legal, it's a lot of back and forth between legal and water, trying to figure out how to even start the process. So I guess one thing that I would just encourage the board as a whole to look at is how to let, our constituents know how a claim can be put through with Metro. And I guess the step one process to even beginning that, right? They're lucky that they have contacts, right? But without them, they probably wouldn't have gotten a hold of someone in who Lord knows how long.
Yeah, no, thank you for.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting to approve. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And now going back in our agenda, we are now going to take up the Industrial Development Board, consideration of nominees to fill 3 vacancies on the board with the term expiring on August 31st, 2031, with an election to be held at the August 19th, 2025 council meeting. And so first we have the nomination by Chair Gamble of the Honorable Nancy Van Rees. Thank you so much for being here.Uld you like a parking pass or a bus?
Bus ticket.
Hey!
She gets points.
Are you currently a Davis County resident?
I am.
Yes. And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being considered for?
I do at this time. However, we discussed with the Nashville Municipal Auditorium Commission and with the mayor's office that if confirmed, I would be resigning there for this.
Okay, fair enough. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on this board.
Well, I'm not done with the city. I'm hoping the city's not done with me. And I really have learned a lot over the last 3 years. I, at the end of the spring, had resigned a position with one of the nation's largest affordable housing developers after serving 3 years with them. And I learned quite a bit about how deals get done, which has been beneficial to me. And in taking some of that knowledge and adding what I'm a real student of adaptive leadership and trying to make sure that as change comes that we're not only addressing the technical aspects of what the IDB is responsible for, but also understanding the why with every discussion as well. And so I'm hoping that I'm able as a former council member to kind of bring that knowledge to the discussion.
So one of the things that I'm really curious about, specifically with the Industrial Development Board, is sort of your view on how we can have a good partnership or mirror the ideas of wanting to protect residential areas and ensure that they're safe, that sort of free from ecological not necessarily disaster, but harms of like increased rates of asthma being near industrialized areas, but also understanding that Nashville has experienced sort of rampant deindustrialization historically, which has helped contribute to part of Nashville's affordability issues of not having accessibility to well-paying jobs and housing. So sort of how do you marry those two things in your mind?
Sure. I really feel like a lot of the responsibility of Nashville's IDB is to be mindful not only at incentivizing more jobs and more development in ways that are responsible, but also in looking at gentrification as it affects both small business and residential neighborhoods. And I think that there's a responsibility to make sure that we're analyzing both situations and doing our part to make sure that we are wisely investing in opportunities so that we are making Nashville a better place to live, not just more, but that it's happening for us and not to us.
Thank you for that. Chair Gamble, do you want to speak to your nominee?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have known the Honorable Nancy Van Rees for about 6 years now, first as serving with her in my first term on the council, and now as my constituent. She is a resident of District 3, and I've come to know her as a very thoughtful, holistic person when she looks at how to engage the community in projects. I think her experience as a council member and understanding how government operates, as well as her experience in working in the affordable housing space, will be invaluable to the Industrial Development Board, and that's why I nominated her and encouraged your support.
Thank you so much. Anything from the committee?
That's nice.
Seeing nothing
No,
else.
no
Yeah.
Ditto.
Yeah, did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've probably known you longer though than she
I
did.
know.
What were you making?
Actually, I made pasta. That's hilarious.
Is there anything that we haven't asked you that you would like to share with us?
You know, we have some very important tools in the toolkit that we're not using yet. I think that the council and the mayor's office will work together to bring some more authority to the IDB upcoming. And I've been a real student as to the opportunities that presents. I think that the city is desperately in need for a more focused approach on daycare and on small business in addition to affordable housing. And I would be mindful of all those things if serving on the board.
Thank you so much. Seeing nothing further from the committee, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? So we've got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Join the bus.
Yes.
I always do.
Next we have Laura Yankee, who was nominated by Councilmember Benedict. Ms. Yankee, thank you so much for being here. Would you like a parking validation or a bus pass?
Parking validation.
It's okay. Everybody gets one. Yeah.
As I hang my head in shame. My 3 children rode the bus today,
Hey.
so there we go.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being considered for here today?
No.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
I'm a Nashville native, born and raised in the city. I was a teacher for almost 15 years. Almost 10 of those were in Metro Nashville Public Schools. I worked at Two Rivers Middle School, and before Jolton Middle School shut its doors, I also taught there. When I was a teacher, I found that I wanted to create a bigger impact. So I went back to school, and I got my master's degree in educational administration. So I was licensed to teach, and then also to be an administrator of K-12 schools. I left teaching and went into real estate. And I did residential real estate for a few years, and it was great. I mainly focused on first-time home buyers because I think that is where you see the most change come in. And I love teaching, and a lot of real estate is about teaching people, educating them. This is the process. Due to some personal changes in my life, I left residential real estate and began working at Vanderbilt University, where I currently serve as the Assistant Director of Real Estate. Through that position, I have learned a lot about public-private partnerships, of which I don't think we utilize enough of here in the city. So once again, I find myself wanting to create a broader impact. And I really think that my service on this board would do that. What I see and what I have seen in my different careers has been not just the impacts that lack of affordable housing, lack of economic opportunity have on our students, but how we can make the most impact is really through their parents, through their caregivers. And that starts with those things. It starts with affordable housing, and it starts with economic opportunities. And then on the flip side of that, I've seen from a teacher's perspective how our teachers are getting pushed out. They're not able to live close to where they work because they can't afford it. And what I'd like to see is the IDB use the tools that they have to help create space and place that really impact our families, that can have a trickle-down effect to people that are not yet in a family, are single young working adults, to our older generation who are often caregivers, to our students. And what that means is bringing in industry to the city where we are thoughtful about creating bridges between neighborhoods. And I don't mean actual bridges, but I mean bridges in the space and the place. And making sure that we increase businesses and small nonprofit impact for those community members.
Yeah, perfect, thank you. And so, same question that I had for Ms. Van Reese that I have for you and basically everybody on the list is, how do you weigh the need for like the city to continue to grow and to have well-paying jobs at all levels that aren't just white-collar jobs, that we have good labor jobs as well, but at the same time wanting to protect neighborhoods and ensure that we're not seeing increased industry that has a direct correlation to poor long-term health outcomes. Like how do you, in your mind, how do you sort of weigh those two factors?
That's a great question. I think that we have a lot of regulations in place that we need to utilize. I think the Planning Committee does a good job of really looking into development, but I also think that we need to make sure that we're educating our neighbors about what we need. If you look at the Unified Housing Study, it is apparent that it's a remarkable piece of work, and the numbers speak for themselves. And so when we get in front of our community members and our neighbors, I think that is one of the tools that we have to make sure that everyone understands that this is about all of Nashville and that there are benefits for everyone when we increase our housing opportunity, when we bring in new businesses, and what that looks like.
Councilmember Benedict, do you want to speak to your nominee?
Thank you, Chair. So I've known Laura for also for 6 years, since I first ran for office 6 years ago. She went to school with Anthony Davis, who was in my seat before me. He is currently on the IDB, but is rolling off because he's really successful in his business. So he's selling more beer in other places like Wilson County. So Laura showed an interest in this, and as I've always known from her in conversation with her, she's enthusiastic, she's thoughtful. Every conversation, we actually had a conversation right before this meeting, and I ran something new by her, and she brought ideas to me that, quickly, here's how this is going to impact the neighbors. Here's how this is going to impact the district. So she's already thinking, from just a small little seed of what that impact can be to the neighborhood and the city as a whole. So I think that mindset would make her very well qualified for the IDB. I think the other thing for many of us, especially in and around the county that are not downtown or perhaps on the west side, we don't have representation from our districts in the same weight that other council districts have. And so anytime that I have a member from the district that's rolling off, if there's somebody qualified and capable, and in my opinion leads to the top of the pack, I want to make sure that I nominate somebody from District 7 to replace the person rolling off. I think you guys all feel that way about your districts as well. And so that's one reason why, you know, again, Laura's very capable. I was thrilled to have her, and also excited that she's from District 7, and you guys have somebody qualified to consider.
Thank you. Anything from the committee?
I just wanted to ask, had you had a chance to watch IDB recordings, and did you have any learnings from those meetings that stood out to you?
Yes, I have watched a few, and I attended one a couple of months ago. And the one that I attended was actually where they were discussing the redevelopment at Rivergate Mall. And I think that's a great example of how we want to be thoughtful of what we bring into the city and how we partner with developers. I said in my elevator speech that you all have in front of you that what I've learned in my position at Vanderbilt is that a P3 is really a true partnership. And so that means that the city has its needs met by this development. And I think that that is something that's great about what's happening out there. I want to see more of that.
Pro Tem?
Thank you, Chair. I guess something just to keep on your radar if you are elected to the IDB in regards to parking with big projects that are coming down the pipe, right? It's no secret that I always say that I feel like Vanderbilt has too many lots for parking when you're located in Midtown by public transportation. And so as we begin to develop more projects, there's a correlation between how much one parking space can take up as opposed to number of affordable housing units. And so I want that to remain on your radar.
It is very much on my radar. So I actually met about parking today, and I don't know if you all saw the announcement about the Innovation District that Vanderbilt is planning off of West End. And a lot of that is going to replace the surface parking lots that are currently there. So it is definitely something that's on our radar in my professional capacity. Yes.
I was just gonna say, as the person who represents those lots off West End, or something is definitely coming down the pike.
That's good to hear. As long as it's not a horrible tunnel with some cars, and I'm all good.
Too much rock.
Bring back Krispy Kreme.
Unless you're building a train, then I'm
Exactly. Exactly. Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much.
Right, next we have Natalie Alvarez, who was nominated by Councilmember Allen. Ms. Alvarez, thank you so much for being here. Would you like a parking validation or a bus pass?
A parking validation. Thank you kindly.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes, sir.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to or considered today?
Currently, I'm on the Tennessee State Workforce and Development Board. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
So I am a third-generation Californian on my mom's side, and on my dad's first-generation American. And I left California about 4 years ago. As much as I love it and find it to be beautiful, the cost of living became unbearable. And so, like so many of my kind, I moved out here because I believe in the quality of life and the quality of living. And I firmly believe if I'm going to live somewhere, it's important for me to show up and engage civically. It's actually one of my greatest passions in life. I've done a lot in the state of California. There I started actually on the County Workforce Development Board. And when I moved here, actually cold called the governor's office 6 weeks in and said, "Hi, I just moved here. This is what I contributed at the county level. I would love to see where I could be plugged in at the county level here." And they said, "We actually think with the size of and scope of what you dealt with in Orange County, you'd be a great fit for some state work." And so just as I've been learning the city and loving the city, I'm starting to look for other ways to get involved meaningfully, and I think that the lens that I have on the workforce for the state of Tennessee could be of value to the city that I'm living in now, and so you find me here. My professional background, since I did not touch on that, currently working with a private investment firm, so we do a lot of venture capital and private equity. We don't have any holdings in the state of Tennessee, so there's no there should be no issue there, but for a living, I help invest in businesses and help businesses scale, and I believe that doing that, I get really romantic about this, so you'll have to forgive me, but I think of venture capital as the economic engine of America. When you're investing in businesses, you're investing in jobs. And I believe in investing in jobs because you get better quality of life across all boards. And I guess the last thing on that piece, being really interested in the economic development of the cities, I see IDB as an extension of that in a very meaningful way. I appreciate, some of the higher tech jobs that are coming to town. I recognize how those could be, how it could be a little bit challenging when you see those coming in, but then when you also look at the secondary and tertiary jobs that are created by these large companies that are coming in, I think there's something to be said for that as far as creating opportunity across all boards.
Perfect, thank you. And then so you mentioned some of the work that you're doing with the state workforce development board. I'm curious, sort of what kind of time commitment that is for you, because we want to make sure that everybody is not being overburdened with the ask of.
It's 4 hours once a quarter, so that's like a lunchtime. Yeah, I know, right? Ooh, so hard.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
That's like a long lunch,
Yes. And then sort of same question that I've been asking as it relates to deindustrialization, but wanting to make sure that we are investing in good, well-paying jobs for folks, but also not wanting that to be to the detriment of our communities. Sort of how do you weigh those issues?
Yeah, I absolutely think that companies coming here cannot be to the detriment of those who live here. One of the things that people ask me, I was met with a lot of skepticism when I moved here. And my answer is always, I want this to be an incredible place, and I want this to be a place that people want to continue to live. I don't want to come and, I don't want to come and upset what you guys have enjoyed. I want to improve upon it. And so I think while it is important to attract businesses, you also have to balance that very delicately with, where is this business or this opportunity or this project being placed, and how does it serve the community, and making sure that the needs of the community outweigh maybe whatever tax benefit or benefit that company is getting if they move here. And so that could look like a number of different things.
Anything from the committee?
I'd like to ask the same question I just asked our previous candidate about watching the IDB meetings. Had you had a chance to watch any?
I'm familiar with that, and I've done some reading. And one of the things I was actually curious about, I actually came with some questions pre-written. Forgive me. I'm curious with the board in general, where they feel like there's the least amount of representation as far as the needs for the city. I don't have children, but just with extension of the work that I've done with the Workforce Development Board, I see the massive shortage on health or on childcare facilities, and I'm curious what the board in the city wants to put the most attention to as far as what they think the city needs.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. And then I have just like kind of a fun question about the fragrance expert.
Oh.
What is that?
I was curious.
Just like tell me
more. During COVID, I was bored, and
Imagine that.
I'm a very intellectually curious person by nature, and so I went and got a certification through the Fragrance Foundation. So basically, if I wanted to go and sell perfume at a store, I could, but really what it does is it teaches you how fragrance is composed, and getting an understanding of what notes build what, and understanding a little bit of the science of it. So it's kind of, I think of it as like a sommelier, but for fragrance. Oh, cool. Yeah. It's a fun hobby.
Yeah, so is council.
Yeah. That's civics, so it's gonna give me the points in heaven, right?
Fun is an interesting word.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
All right, next we have David Ware, nominated by Councilmember Evans C.
Hey all, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Parking validation would be lovely, thank you so much.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes,
And do you serve on any other Metro boards or commissions other than what you're being considered for here today?
I do not.
So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
Yeah, so my name's David Ware. I am a Nashville native, born and raised, and an MNPS grad. I went to Hillsborough High School just down the road before it was really bougie. I like to clarify.
Yeah, before the reconstruction.
We had air conditioners exploding when I was there, but you know, it added to the charm.
Yeah.
But after that, I went to the University of Alabama, where I studied political science and also did my master's in public administration. But kind of in the middle of that time, I had this pivotal experience with LaTanya Channel in Mayor Cooper's office. And I grew up in 12 South, again, before it was bougie, and I really saw how our city changed and evolved throughout my childhood, especially when I got into high school post-2010 flood, where I grew up in a neighborhood where there were sidewalks where I could play with my friends, and slowly, those people moved away over and over and over again. And to this day, my family still lives in that neighborhood, but not a single person on my street is the same person from when I grew up. And so I emailed LaTanya, kind of cold emailed her when she was the director of small business development, and I said, hey, like, I'm not sure how I want to help, and I'm not sure how I can help, but I know the work that the IDB is doing, and I know that you're involved, and I really want to get engaged. And I think she was kind of surprised by that random email, but she set up a Zoom call, and immediately I was in. So I started working in Mayor Cooper's office, and my big thing was, how do we increase the transparency and accountability of the IDB? Because if you go and ask someone on the street, what is the Industrial Development Board? They have no idea. And yet, they play such a pivotal role in our city's development and economic development, and how we make sure that economic development is both bolstering for the business community, but sustainable and equitable for the people that live here. And so throughout my time in the mayor's office, I went to pretty much every IDP meeting with LaTanya, but also worked with them to form the subcommittee that they had at least a couple years ago of, okay, let's take a couple steps back and think about, what is our mission, right? What do we want to see in 50 years, 75 years, 100 years? And work backwards from that to figure out how we can get there. And so I had looked into a lot of the other IDBs across the state and said, these are the things other IDBs are doing where you can point to them and say, hey, they're publicizing this. They're letting their constituents know what they're doing and showing the benefit of that board. How can we do that here? And so that's what brings me to you today.
Perfect. Very much appreciate that answer. And so, same question that I've had for everybody that I've got for you, as it relates to historic deindustrialization of Nashville, but wanting to make sure that we're a city that's continuing to grow responsibly, but not to the detriment of our neighborhoods, and exposing folks to things that have direct correlations to poor long-term health outcomes. So, how, in your mind, how do you sort of try and navigate that and wanting to, one, see the city grow, see good jobs and coming here, but also making sure that's not to the detriment of neighborhoods like the one that you grew up in?
Of course. I think the main thing for me is, how do we make sure, and this is kind of a roundabout way of getting at the solution there, but how do we make sure that every kind of business is taking care, or is taking advantage of the opportunities that the IDB has? Because during my time when I was there, right, we had Amazons, we had Oracles, we had large institutions. And the reality is, small businesses can take advantage of the resources there as much as large ones. And so I think one of the ways that we can help with that sustainability is, how are we getting small businesses engaged in the IDB, and how are we meeting them where they are, right? Are we going, for example, the council has Intro Nashville, which is this kind of informative info session series for people that are new to Nashville or business owners. And like, why are we not speaking at that, for example? So I think that there are ways that we can get involved in the community where we can meet small businesses where they are, and in turn, not the large businesses are just taking advantage of the resources, if that makes sense. So how do we meet small businesses where they are and inform them of the resources that we have that they can take advantage of?
Perfect. Thank you. Anything further from the committee?
I know you watch the meetings because you said it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Anything Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much.
Next, we have Tequila Johnson, who is nominated by Chair Porterfield. Thank you so much for being here. Would you like a parking validation or this? Parking validation. Thank you. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes, I am.
And do you serve on any other metro boards or commissions other than what you're being considered here for here today?
Is that a trick question? I serve on IDB now, so I don't know.
Oh, perfect. Reappointment. All right. All right. So tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
Well, first off, hi everyone. It's pretty interesting, especially hearing all of the different people come up and talk about IDB and a lot of the things that we have at our fingertips, which I thought we did too until I got on there and learned about state overreach and a lot of other things. And so as someone who has spent a lot of time in the community, like face to face, doing different surveys, knocking on doors, talking to people, asking them what they want. When I came to IDB, I had this grandiose idea that we could come in and we could use these tools because they're here, and I see it happening in other states, and North Carolina does this, and Florida does this, and I learned really quickly how government works. And so after serving for 6 years and having both the knowledge of what people want and understanding how IDB actually works and how things actually get done, I'm in a position where I'm seeing a lot of the things start to be implemented. And I'm bringing that institutional knowledge back. That's what I want to do. I want to bring that knowledge back. I want to bring that level of accountability back that we've had. A lot of things weren't in place the first 6 years when I got here. Now we're collecting our fees. We're talking about how can we use that for small business development. That guy, I thought he worked for the mayor's office because he did work with us. But even the things that we worked through with him and with the carpenters, and a lot of these things are happening, and a lot of businesses have made promises, not just to the city, but to the IDB and to the people that I've spoken to that said they wanted these things in the area where this development is. And I want to make sure, I want to ensure that those businesses follow through before they come back and ask for another tax incentive. I want to make sure that there's equitable representation on the board consistently, not just with people who are experts in real estate and in affordable housing and transit, but people who are experts in people. And that's what I am. I'm a people expert. So a lot of times we sit in these rooms and we have these ideas because we've read these studies and we've heard from other people what people say they want. And I actually have the institutional knowledge and the person-to-person knowledge because I'm actually the person asking people what they want.
Thank you. So same question that I've had for everybody, sort of with wanting to make sure that Nashville is growing, that we're investing in our business community, but wanting to make sure that it's not to the detriment of those of us who make Nashville what it is, those of us who live and work here. How do you sort of manage that and weighing those considerations of industrialization versus neighborhood investment?
I'll speak very honestly. At first, that was a little bit difficult for me because, like most people, I wanted to see our communities thrive. I saw people. I live in 37208, and I mean, I have just over the last 4 years, all of my neighbors' houses have turned to Airbnbs. And so for me, not only does that impact myself, it impacts my daughter, it impacts my future, it impacts my investment and everything. And so again, I came in wanting to really figure out how to get this done. And what I've gained in that process is an understanding of how. We all can see the what because we can Google it. We can figure out what can we possibly do. But where I think oftentimes people like me who serve community end up making a misstep is we don't understand the how. And one of the things that I've really been good at is making sure that I'm talking to other community serving organizations. I'm talking to other people about, hey, this is what IDB can do. Did you know this? Did you know that? And it's amazing when one or two of them roll into the meeting because they're at a weird time and they come in and they're asking questions and they're engaged. And I think that's like the start of how we begin to set that level of accountability because on the IDB board, we're here to, yes, make sure that there are checks and balances, but also ensure that the city is operating, that we are bringing in these economic opportunities and that, you know, we are recruiting these businesses and that we're finding ways to incentivize them. However, there are people in the community that have questions and them having that knowledge of what questions can I ask? Maybe this may not work the way I want, but how can I make it work for me? I think is how we really can begin to get people to do exactly what you're saying, and that is create that balance that I think we've been missing in Nashville.
Perfect, thank you. Chair Porterfield, do you want to speak to your nominee?
Yes, thank you so very much. I nominated Tequila because she's just been a great asset to the board. I think that IDB is one of the more complicated boards with more complex issues than we see on a lot of the other boards. And one thing that we have overwhelmingly stated that we as a body have said that we valued, and what we've heard from the community, is that we want more representation of working class people on our boards and commissions, and we want to make sure that that voice is represented. I think Tequila has done a great job in doing that. I think that her institutional knowledge that she could bring back to the board will just be a really strong asset. And listening to her speak, it's like she was in my head, because what I wanted to talk to y'all about was also the work that she does in the community. I've seen firsthand her going door to door, talking to neighbors, surveying the community. So she has just been a great voice for what the people in the community want, because she is a part of that community. So I think when you marry those things together, someone who is a strong community voice with someone who has the institutional knowledge, I think Nashville wins. So would love your support in making sure that she gets the opportunity to continue to serve. Again, this board deals with such complicated and complex issues. It really takes years to kind of get it under your belt to understand what you're doing, and we just can't afford to lose someone that has that institutional knowledge.
Thank you. Anything further from the committee? Yes, Chair Timmons.
Thank you, Chair. I wholeheartedly support reappointing Tequila to the IDB board. I echo the sentiments of Chair Porterfield. I think that institutional knowledge is very important, but I also say that Tequila is a well-rounded board member, because when you're talking about industrial development board and you're talking about workforce development and recruiting businesses, she leads a business. And I know from personal experience in working alongside her, from $250 investment to a multi-million-dollar organization that has been sustained for several years at that level, and you have to know what you're doing. You have to have business acumen to do that, and I think that a key skill set for someone sitting on the IDB board is business acumen. So she's got that, and then she's connected to the people, and she's been doing that for 10 years or more. Her organization really has its finger on the pulse of what's going on in the community and how we can best serve the community. And so wrapping all that into one person, you can't get any better than that for that particular board.
I forgot to say that I've been an entrepreneur for over 15 years.
Perfect. Anything further? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much. All right, next we have Derek Lau, nominated by Councilmember Cooper.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. Would you like a parking pass or a
Validation.
Yes, there we go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being considered for here today?
I am currently the District 19 representative for the Beautification and Environment Commission. And we roll off of that.
Fair enough. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
Sure. So I'm a Nashville native. I grew up in Caldwell Hall, so over behind the zoo. My parents are Nashville natives. All but one of my brothers still lives here. The city is just very important to me. I'm a real estate developer. I, am very passionate about the built environment, building, but affordable housing is one of those things that has been tough for me to see how the city's grown so much, but we're still leaving the people that have been here behind. And so when Councilman Coupin approached me about this, I really did a lot of research and just was really curious, how is this something that I can bring my background, my expertise? I've been on the board at Room the Inn. I've been a volunteer there for over 10 years, working on their building committee for 5 years, where we're trying to expand, their housing opportunities there. And it's such a challenge. And so seeing the tools that the IDB has, and hopefully providing my background, my skill set to help implement those tools and help us, kind of face the challenges we have as a city.
Thank you. So same question to you. How do you sort of marry the idea of wanting to see more development, wanting to see growth, but not wanting it to be at the detriment of our neighborhoods and those who live and work here.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's incredibly important that we take a holistic approach to looking at anything that would come before the IDB. I think it's, like I just said, I think it's important that the people that have been here, for years or generations need to be accounted for in that thought process, that it's not just, growth for growth's sake. I think growth is good. I think if we're not growing, we're in trouble, but it doesn't need to be untamed growth, and we need to be growth that makes sense for everybody here.
Anything further? Yes.
You and I had a conversation, and I asked you the question about, did you watch any IDB meetings?
Yeah.
Will you tell everybody the answer you gave?
Sure.
Because I don't think good ideas should be kept a secret.
Sure. Sure. So I have watched some of the IDB meetings, but I also, through my work, we use Gmail for our work, so we have access to Notebook LM, and so I put in the link for every IDB meeting over the last year and a half, and it basically gave me a summary of what has been discussed and throughout that period of time, which was very helpful.
Can we make that a rule?
Yeah. So as one of the youngest members on this committee, but someone who was very technologically challenged, I'm assuming what you utilized was like an AI tool by Google. Okay. I'd literally never heard of it until today.
Yeah.
So.
It's
As
really
the
cool.
youngest, I would like y'all to know I am technologically.
Yeah, I am not.
Okay, good, somebody can teach me.
Yeah. Councilmember Coopin, do you want to speak to your nominee?
Yeah, well, as also the youngest, or one of the youngest members, I also learned from Derek on the AI and Google Notebook. He also, I believe, sent me a podcast on the housing and infrastructure study that he put in, and it spit out a 30-minute podcast that literally was two voices talking to each other about the report. So,
Interesting.
work smarter, not
And
harder.
terrifying.
We don't have to meet as a body anymore. We're just going to AI it. But no, but seriously, I've got to know Derek as just a resident in my neighborhood. He's done multiple developments in the historic Buena Vista neighborhood, and then got to know him as a neighborhood president and then as a council member. And you've already heard, but he's such an incredibly thoughtful guy. I mean, he is a developer, right? He builds, but he builds with intention. He builds to make sure the community is part of the conversation and benefiting from it. He's, as you can see, he's resourceful, he's thoughtful, and when I saw this nomination come up, I felt that he'd be such a good fit to bring all these skill sets together, the experience of a native Nashvilleian with some of the other worlds he's been working in, beautification commissioner. So I think he'd be great, and would love y'all's support.
Thank you so much. Anything further from the committee?
Councilmember Coopin is a fellow member of the 32 caucus.
32 caucus.
All right, seeing nothing further, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, this room makes me look very old.
I know, I'm like going.
Next we have Ginger Hauser, who was nominated by Councilmember Cash.
So she had a conflict with, she's got an out-of-town work thing and had to withdraw because she couldn't come here.
So that one is withdrawn. Next we have Bob Braswell, nominated by Councilmember Webb.
You may speak first or after him?
But after, we'll introduce him, Mr. Braswell. Thank you so much for being here. Would you like a parking pass or?
Parking.
Yes. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than the one you're being appointed to? Okay. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
First, it's good to see everybody again.
Yes.
Most everybody here knows I travel extensively. I've traveled all over the world, and one of the huge benefits of it is I've worked a lot in Mexico, and social programs are huge in Mexico. Why? Because of the population. And I've invested a lot in Mexico with corporations. I've moved multiple multinational corporations to Mexico, but with the understanding is you have to have a social agenda. You can't move there just to make money. At first, there was a lot of conflict with that, but the more I pushed, the more they came on board, so much so that I went to I'm not going to mention the city, but the 4th largest city in Mexico,
the mayor there wrote me a letter of congratulations for bringing so much business to the city and growing employment, local employment, not bringing people from outside the country, getting local people working. Not only was it local people, it was local companies. Because part of my bringing them was, you can't just come here and then ship everything out to be assembled or work somewhere else. Use local people. I'll help you develop those local people, because there were a lot of very small shops, mom and pop shops, that now are, for an automotive term, it's not OEM, tier 1 is huge, then you have tier 2 and tier 3. They have become tier 3, which is a huge process of moving up. So my focus has always been on growing companies with the local environment. The way I met the mayor was an issue with people. Where we found land to build, it was a multi-billion-dollar company. And when we went to build it, they wanted land not in an industrial park, but outside. So when we started looking, I went to the mayor and I said, I know the resources, and the way that the government works is you can build houses to house people. I don't want people going from the center of the city out to where these companies are. Why? Because they're spending 2 hours on a bus one way. There's no home life. It affects in a lot of different ways, as most of you can understand. So my focus was getting affordable housing where they could live and work all at the same time. And the mayor went to whomever he went to, and guess what? They started building a community very close to where they were going to put in the plan. And so I say all that because that's one of multiple stories. The governor of a state invited me to do the same thing, bring people there to his state. My focus has always been on growing, helping industry come, but not at the expense of people. So I'm answering your question before you ask. So the focus is, you can bring a lot of companies, and I meet a lot of business owners here. They don't live where they work. They live in other areas, and I have an issue with that. It's like, live with the people you work with. And so I always keep that in the social agenda for me is equally as strong as the industrial agenda. If you don't have both working hand in hand, you will never have a truly successful endeavor. Along with that, and anybody that knows me knows I preach this, if you're a company and you don't invest in your local schools, the public schools, shame on you. I'm a businessman with a heart for people, and everybody knows that about me. So that's my interest in the industrial board, because my talents are there. I mean, I think you all still have my resume from the time before, but my talents are there. I'm multilingual, I'm multicultural, and my current company deals with people all over the world. And so this is what I do, and I'm very good at it. And I'm very diverse in the way I deal with people. It's not a myopic approach, it's a very broad approach. And so that's why I want to be on this board. I think I can do things for Nashville that I've done elsewhere in the world, but this is where I lived. I went to, Sherry knows this, I went to Bellevue High School when it was...
Bellevue's in the house.
That's right. So this is home, and my family's from here, and what a great way. I'm not the youngest by far. I'm the oldest probably of everybody you're going to interview, but with it comes a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience dealing with people around the United States and the world.
Thank you. Councilmember Webb, do you want to speak to your nominee?
Well, and I think he said it all. I think I keep nominating him for this board or any board because I think what he brings to Nashville and our economic growth, I think what he can do, like you said, he's bilingual. He can sit here and speak to her, and I wouldn't understand him, but they can converse. I'm trying to learn, but haven't got that soaked in yet. And I just think any board that we put him on, but this is really his forte. It's sort of funny, this is where he's landed, and I just hope everybody sees it and he gets on the board. I think he can do a lot for Nashville.
Perfect. Anything further from the
You always have great
I
questions.
will.
Go ahead.
I was gonna default to my, have you watched any of the meetings, but that doesn't seem.
But I have.
Because I remember from last conversation, like, your experience is so substantive, and I'm really glad that you're kind of coming back and looking for the opportunity that's gonna be good. I really
I'm
appreciate that you're
persistent
doing
if
that.
nothing else.
I appreciate that. A
No,
lot
but
of people are not, so
it'd
thank
be
you
an
for
honor
doing
to
that.
serve you all.
Yeah, thank you.
It would.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you so much. Seeing nothing further from the committee, we'll go ahead and move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? All right, we've got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Shawnee. I am going to butcher that last name. I am so sorry. Gapion? Glapion?
I saw she was.
Shawnee Glapion, nominated by Councilmember Ellis. I am not seeing.
Said she didn't submit a questionnaire, Chair.
In that case, I'm gonna go ahead and declare this one withdrawn. Is there any objection to that?
No.
Seeing none, this nomination is withdrawn. All right, next, and that is all for the Industrial Development Board. Okay. Next, we have the Metro Action Commission reappointment of Topania Byers for a term expiring on August 31st, 2028. Ms. Byers, thank you so much for being here once again. I feel like we just talked to you not that long ago.
I know, isn't it crazy?
Yes.
Well, honestly speaking, it wasn't that long ago because I was sitting here and I'm like, it was cold the last time I came down here, so it had to be like at least maybe 6 months ago.
Exactly, yeah. Do you need a parking pass or a bus pass?
Neither, I'm gonna drop that Uber pin.
Hey, okay. Fair enough. Okay, perfect. So yeah, are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being reappointed to here today?
I'm currently the chair for the policy council, parent policy council that oversees the Head Starts.
Okay. And that's with MAC?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
Well, thank you for having me here today. I want to continue to serve. Honestly speaking, the first time I sat in this chair not too long ago, I didn't feel like I fully belonged in it, but knew that I had an urge to serve my community. Since now, actually having that opportunity, I've got my feet on the ground and I'm just so excited to be able to serve. During the time that I've served on the board, my primary focus right now currently is with the Head Start portion of Metro Action, but being a board member, I support Metro Action's full vision, which is to walk with families in all phases of life, from children to adults. I feel it's vital to amplify the voices of people that currently are experiencing disparities that are currently happening, like we talked about, like with workforce, with the need for early education. We actually just converted slots that we had holding for Head Start into early education slots. So now in 6 out of 7 centers, they'll be having infants and babies, which was a huge need. We're moving in a direction to be able to serve families, and being somebody that knows what that looks like, that is in the community and is able to talk to people and gain an understanding of how to be better. I just feel like it's a huge responsibility to be in the positions to actually be a part of that change. I would like to continue to serve because currently right now I'm working on a project with the Head Start portion to start a mother support group for our Head Start. So we have father engagement, but we don't have mother engagement, so we're working on that. I also would like to continue to serve because I'm doing some work with the Tennessee Justice Center to help serve within my community. I live on Shepherd Street, which is in the South Nashville community, and being able to work with Metro Action, which is a hub for a little bit of everything. You've got workforce development, you've got early education, you have resources for the community, and I want to continue to be a voice to move and progress forward what Metro Action's vision is.
Perfect, thank you. I'm curious, have you all had any internal discussions about the implications of the federal spending or lack of spending package that just came through, and whether or not that's going to have any direct implications for your all's funding? Because I know MAC gets a lot of direct funding directly from the federal government.
Right now, I guess
a little bit of everybody's got a little urgency. There's conversations happening all the time about ways to kind of prepare ourselves because you don't know what it's going to look like. I think that's why it's so important to leverage the relationships we have on our board and our community, because a lot of times we don't know what's sitting right there in our backyard. So I think as we continue to have those broader discussions into what that can look like, then we can have that contingency plan of what needs to be done in the event that we lose our funding.
Perfect. Thank you again for your willingness to continue serving.
Thank you.
Is there anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Fire and Building Code Appeals Board reappointment of Raymond Andy Berry for a term expiring July 20th, 2029.
Can we defer him to next meeting, please?
So there's, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and properly seconded. The motion is for a 1 meeting deferral. Those in favor?
Aye.
That startled me too. I thought we were about to get got.
I scared myself. I was like, must be allergic to this.
It's my fault.
Okay, so those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for a 1 meeting deferral. Next is also the Fire and Building Code Appeals Board reappointment of Davinder Sandhu for a term expiring on July 20th, 2029.
I don't think he's here today either. We may have to put him to the back.
We'll go ahead and roll that to the heel. Right, next we'll take up the Historic Commission appointment of Gary Burke for a term expiring August 10th, 2029. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to get Gary.
Gary Burke.
Hello.
All right. How are you doing today, sir?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking allocation?
Parking, please. Thank you.
And are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes, I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being considered for here today?
Yes, I do. I serve on the Friends of Fort Negley Board, Travelers Rest, Battle of Franklin Trust, and Stones River National Battlefield.
Perfect. We love to see that. Okay. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on the Historic Commission. I mean, it's apparent by what, but tell us a little bit more.
Well, I'm very passionate about preservation, obviously. And in that collaboration, I've worked with several members of that commission. And I want to be more involved with the administrative process and making decisions about historical markers and things like that. Anything to do with Nashville history, I'm definitely about it.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that, because I think one of the things that I've heard from folks is that, like, Nashville is a city that has a lot of deep, rich history, and there are portions of it where we pay homage and do it justice, but from a lot of what people have experienced is that we don't do enough to actually tell the story of the city and the people who have built it into what it is. And so, sort of on that, within that framing, like, what are some of the things that you would want to see us doing better on elevating the history of Nashville?
Exposing some of the hidden history about Nashville. I'm the descendant of a Battle of Nashville Civil War veteran, and I personally have gotten 2 historical markers commissioned to honor the African Americans who served in the Battle of Nashville in 1863-64. My heart is Fort Negley. I'm a reenactor first, and then a board person afterwards. So I tell the stories about what happens in Nashville's early history, and I'm very passionate about that.
Perfect. I can appreciate that. Thank you. Anything from the committee?
Good.
Seeing none, is there anything that you want to share with us that I haven't asked you?
No, I just look forward to having the opportunity to serve.
Perfect. Thank you. If there's nothing further, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll go with the Historic Commission reappointment of Jane Landers for a term expiring on August 10th, 2029. Thank you so much for being here, Ms. Landers. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Well, I parked in the wrong parking lot, so never mind.
It happens to the best of us.
Sorry.
More than all right. Are you currently a Davis County resident?
I am.
Okay, and do you serve on any other Metro boards or commissions other than what you're being reappointed to here today?
No, I don't.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
Well, I've really enjoyed my service already on that committee, and I do work on the markers, and so Gary and I are old friends too. Mayor Cooper and I helped save Port Negley from development as a hotel. I've done preservation my whole career as a teacher at Vanderbilt and before and after, and want to do more of that. So I work with preservation of documents that are endangered all over the world and also here. And what else? And so also UNESCO, I work with them, and so that's how we got Negley saved. And I want to do more. I love working with the Historical Markers Committee and researching and helping. Got good people with me too.
What would you say is one of the things that you've worked on the commission that you were most excited to work on?
I think it was probably Fort Negley. You know, it's so important and people don't really know about it as much as they should. I was so worried that they were going to develop that as a hotel, and they hadn't done the archaeology to do anything about all the people that died there at a cholera outbreak to mark those people's service as well. Gary does everything he can, and the wonderful reenactors, but there are a lot of stories lost. And one of my graduate students that I trained is also working with Fort Negley and got a grant to do a great website called Builders and Defenders about the servicemen who worked there, who were runaway slaves in some cases. And so we need to do a lot more. There's a lot more to be saved.
Most definitely. I can appreciate that. Thank you. Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Next is also the Historic Commission reappointment of C. William Bill McKee for a term expiring on August 10th, 2029.
We're going to have to defer him as well till the next meeting.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
So moved.
The motion on the floor is for a one-meeting deferral. It's been moved and properly seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for a one-meeting deferral. Next is the Historic Zoning Commission appointment of James Hubler for a term expiring on June 30th, 2030. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Hubler. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being reappointed to here, or what you're being appointed to here today?
Yes, the Metro Historical Commission.
Okay, perfect.
It would be a liaison position between the two boards.
Okay, perfect, yeah, because I didn't think that would be a conflict, but, okay, perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on this particular board.
Well, I love the built history of Nashville. I've done 6 books, 5 of which deal with our built environment here, most of which have been historic photographs from either federal collections showing Nashville in 1864 during the Union occupation, with even architectural drawings of the buildings they'd seized and created here. Followed up with a private collection of images that were shot primarily from the 1850s till 1900 by 2 photographers here, Carl and Otto Geers. And then the newest, there was a guidebook to Nashville also with walking and driving tours, and the newest one is called This Used to Be Nashville. The publisher came up with that title, and their idea was find 90 buildings that are here, but they're only here because they're no longer used as what they were built for. When was the last time you went to a revival meeting at the Ryman?
I don't go to revival meetings.
Okay. Well, things like that. But I love our history. I've worked on local and state history for 50 years at the State Library and Archives, running the Tennessee Historical Society, working on the restoration of the Capitol building, and being a curator at the State Museum on architecture and art.
I mean, I feel like your experience definitely speaks for itself, so I appreciate your willingness to serve in this capacity. One of the things that I am a little curious about is how how you handle or manage sort of professional and interpersonal conflicts with folks. So if there's a policy position that one of your fellow commissioners is taking that you disagree with vehemently, sort of how would you navigate those sort of those conflicts in a professional setting?
You have to always hold your colleagues with respect, and you have to deal with people on a personal basis. You know, I was just at a meeting where Jim Henry and Jimmy Nafee were talking about how one a Republican and one a Democrat, how they were friends, and how if there was an issue coming up, they would discuss it civilly. And you have to keep that in mind. We're all people, and we have to be nice to each other.
I mean, I can definitely understand that. One of my best friends from undergrad, we lived together all 4 years. He is a very conservative Texas libertarian, but he's also my brother, so we'll
as we say, bless his heart.
Exactly. But yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. I think one thing that definitely gives me some pause, and that I want to provide you the opportunity to speak to, is are some comments that you have made in the past as it relates to some council decisions. Now, I firmly believe that folks need to disagree with us when they disagree. That is the foundations of our democratic system,
Right.
And we need to be held to account.
Yeah.
I'm always here for accountability, but I think the question that I asked about how we handle those and interpersonal conflicts and making sure that we're doing it respectfully is something that is incredibly important to me, because I think that with most folks on this committee, I've disagreed with y'all at one point or another, but always tried to do it in a very respectful manner, and so we've received some emails and have reviewed some comments that have been attributed to you on social media that could be viewed as sort of denigrating the body or denigrating some members. So I didn't want to give you the opportunity to try and address some of those things. Do you want to speak before?
Well, I just kind of want to understand the context a little bit, because it sounds like you know what the comments were, and he knows what the comments were, I'm assuming, and I don't know what the comments were, so I'd like to know before I hear his response.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess part of it could be his telling us.
Yes. And so, Dr. Weiner, do you want to?
Sure.
Okay.
So let me preface this with, I am a business consultant, and one of the things that I tell my clients.
Yeah, you were a good friend of Bob Allen's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was my special heart.
Yep.
So one of the things that I tell my clients is you have to check out anybody you're getting ready to hire.
Sure.
So all the world now knows that I check out Facebook. And so there were some things that were disconcerting, and I'm always wanting to make sure, like my colleague, that we're bringing people together that listen to each other and don't go after people's integrity and denigration, which was a great word. So let me share. There's a picture of the Battle of Nashville here, and Tom, can you see it?
A historical marker.
The historical marker, and it says, "Contact your council member and capital STOP this stupidity."
Regarding what?
Thoughts on Metro's plan to move historical to the planning department. And then a Tennessean article, "What's that going on near the Naval Building at Shelby Park in East Nashville?" And it's a road closed sign. And it says, "Right near where Metro Planning, quote unquote planning, had granted a permit to build a 20-story apartment on the riverbank." Brilliant exclamation point.
That is an area that had flooded.
I think context sometimes helps.
Yeah.
Developers are trying to stop MHCZ from protecting our historic properties. Please spread the word to contact all Metro Council members and ask them to vote against this measure. Preserve our past, don't destroy it. And that was the Axios article, Nashville council member pitches moving historic zoning to the planning department. When we put things out to the community, it's important that we give context, as I shared. It's also important that we reach out to the people and have conversations.
Sure, sure.
So those things help.
Yep.
Those were just three. I've got several more.
And I was encouraging people to contact their council members.
I saw that. I saw that as well. And then, council members, we have received, subsequent to me saying this, clearly other people are checking Facebook, which means somebody listens.
Yeah.
Anyway, there is another email in here that you will receive that also questions some of the same things. So it's a matter of being able to collaborate across the county. Not certainly, absolutely not walking in lockstep with what we do, because everybody knows we've all got opinions and we share them willingly. But I think it's important to be able to share them respectfully. So that's where I have heartburn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I did want to give you the opportunity to address that, because that's something that we did receive in
No,
our
I appreciate
emails, and
that.
so I want to make you aware of it, so it's not, there aren't conversations that you're not aware of.
You know, the tenor was probably too hot, but I firmly believe in protecting our history. And for example, on 2nd Avenue, you know that block between 2nd and 1st and Bank Street and Church Street? Back in the 1980s, a developer from Alabama wanted to put up a 24-story building on that lot. There was a pre-Civil War carriage factory down there that had been used as a hospital during the Civil War. So that was very special to me. Goody's was down there, you probably remember that. And her daughter went on to found the Bluebird. The developer was told that Metro did not want a 24-story commercial office building on 2nd Avenue. And miraculously, one night, the entire block went up in flame. And the fire marshal indicated that he thought he knew the source of that, but he couldn't prove it. So preservation is a very delicate process. I mean, like they were talking about trying to save Fort Negley from she was saying a hotel. I think it was much more than that. It was going to be a very dense development around the base of the hill. We have to try and respect our history, and I know that there are, money always talks, but we also need to try and leverage respect for our history and where we came from. There's a great line in Grapes of Wrath where the Jodes, the people that are leaving Oklahoma and going to California, they're loading everything into the car, and it's too much. So they start taking things out, and Ma Jode says, "Wait a minute, how are you going to know who you are unless you know where you come from?" So that's the context of our history and our built environment. When you look around up at 2nd Avenue there. That first building that's still there was the Brandon Printing Building, and it's got some beautiful terracotta on it. Thank goodness the bomb didn't destroy that building, but unfortunately it did destroy some others. So I read where the plan now is to hopefully try and reproduce some semblance of what was there, which is great. The Ray Building was one of my favorites down there. It had some beautiful cast iron work on it, like wolf heads and cast iron, and there's those same wolf heads over here on 3rd Avenue too on one of the buildings. So evidently somebody had the same catalog they were ordering out of. Another example of that is on the Brandon Printing Building down there on the corner of 2nd and Union. Up at the top there is a little dragon that's holding up a balcony. The same dragon on a much bigger scale is holding up the balconies on Tulip Street Methodist Church over on the east side. So just little details like that can so easily be lost. For example, when Washington Manufacturing didn't follow the Walmart template, and they were still wanting to go into small towns and deal with individual merchants in those towns, they lost out and they went out of business. But when a developer came in there to consolidate all of that building, there was again a pre-Civil War structure that had been a hospital where people had bled and died. They demolished the entire structure except for the facade, which maybe it was unsound, I don't know, but you know, that's something that I mourned. You had a question?
I'm trying to remember the question he was asked that he's giving us this information for.
Did he have a response to what I shared and to my heartburn?
To your heartburn, sure. Yeah, I apologize for that. But I'm passionate about our history and trying to protect it. I love Nashville. I love it.
Anything further from the committee?
I think, thank you for sharing all that context and everything. And I think, you know, as I was listening, one of the things that I always feel challenged with kind of when it comes to anything historic, and I don't have as much historic kind of property as other council districts do, but is the struggle of, you know, the property owner and their vision, kind of what the community needs are, and then what the opportunities are to save or encourage the preservation side. And so I guess as we kind of keep going down this path, like as a city, like I'm open to hearing about the ideas people have, because I think that's where I go, well, what do I do with this conundrum? And sometimes doesn't always feel like as a city or maybe even as a state that we have a good path forward on some of this preservation activity. And so it ends up being where probably development interests kind of supersede because I don't have a path forward. And so it sounds like you have so much experience, you'll be good at providing some of those insights. And so, you know, I've been called worse than stupid, and so that kind of thing doesn't bother me. But that's the kind of thing I think if you think about it maybe from our kind of, you know, individual district shoes, that we probably don't know which direction to go. And so we're relying on you all with all that expertise to give us some insight on what an ideal outcome would be.
One of the examples of that is down on Lower Broadway. On the south side, there's a 4-bay building that was built in the 1850s, and the William Stockel Company had the whole building back then, and they were ornamental plasterers. They did all of the plaster work in the Capitol, Belmont Mansion, the Bank of Tennessee. You would remember it because at the end of the building was Ernest Tubbs Record Shop, and that was the second longest radio program on the air after the Opry. And they're renovating that, which is a good thing, and they're trying to put it back based on some of the photographs I found that it looked like in 1864 when it was used as a Union hospital for bleeding, dying soldiers. So that's a great thing they're doing down there on Broadway. They're preserving that structure. Yes,
By sharing, then we'll take a vote.
You're asking to be placed on the Historic Zoning Commission, and a lot of what they do is make determinations about the guidelines and overlays. I have a lot of properties in conservation overlays in my district, 4 different overlays, if not 5. And so I guess I'm wondering to what extent you believe the guidelines are, to what degree are they ironclad rules to be followed? To what degree is like precedents that the commission itself has set, flexible or inflexible? You know, like guidelines are based on tendencies about architecture, and so not everything is not every property is going to have exactly the same thing. So I guess I'm just wondering how you're going to kind of navigate those decisions.
Well, I've sat through on some of the meetings that they've had, and so I'm fairly familiar with the process. The staff makes recommendations, obviously, and they've done a lot of work on researching the properties and the proposed developments for the properties. Usually, they find a solution to work with the property owner, almost always. If they don't, like one of the recent examples was something over on Richland Central, they're coming back to the owner with some suggestions, and I think they're going to work everything out. But I'm sure there have been cases where things haven't worked out, and you know, it depends on the guidelines and if you're going to uphold the zoning. or if you're going to give an exemption, and that opens Pandora's box for other exemptions.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move to a vote. We'll try it by voice, and then go from there. So those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? So we've got 5 in favor, 0 against, 2 not voting. All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Appreciate your service, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
And Bob loved you.
Thanks.
Next, we have the Hospital Authority Board appointment of Reverend Shane Scott for a term expiring on July 7th, 2029. Reverend Scott, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Would you like a parking validation or a bus pass?
Parking.
Here you go.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Are you currently a Davis County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being considered for here today?
Yes. The Macedonia Community Development Corporation.
Okay.
And also the Import-Export Bank out of DC.
Okay. That's not going to affect anything here, so all good. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
Well, I believe that we are in a climate and environment where caring for marginalized people is extremely important. I believe that the health and wellness of marginalized people are extremely important, and that your zip code and or your political affiliations should not have anything to do with the care that you receive. And so, as a resident of this county, I thought that the hospital board would be a good fit for me to serve.
Absolutely, and I can appreciate that, and thank you so much. One of the things that I am concerned about as it relates to Nashville General is the financial implications for the federal spending package that was just passed and rampant cuts to Medicaid and Medicare. Even though largely our TennCare population is going to be largely affected by it, those who purchase health or purchase insurance on the exchange are going to be. So that's going to increase financial implications for the hospital authority and for Nashville General. I'm curious as to whether or not you've put any thought into that, knowing that you're not on the board necessarily yet and wouldn't have that institutional knowledge. But I'm curious if you've thought about sort of what those implications could potentially be and how you would try and navigate them on the board.
Yeah, so I think in the first instance, because of the federal cuts, we need a place like Nashville General. You know, there are rural hospitals that are going to close because of the federal cuts. I believe that both our city and our state have the resources to keep a place like Nashville General open and serving marginalized people. But more than that, Nashville General is in a community that is being gentrified. And so I believe that the quality of physicians that particularly Meharry is producing can serve not only marginalized people, but people who come from the middle class community. And so I think that, you know, yes, we're going to have to rethink finances, but I think that we have the brain power here in Nashville to do so.
Absolutely. Anything from the committee? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? So we've got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Human Relations Commission reappointment of Dr. Amy Crawford Charlton for a term expiring on July 21st, 2027.
I'm here, I'm coming. Good to see you. Hi.
Dr. Charlton, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys for being here so long.
Of course, yes. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Parking validation. Thank you so much.
Of course. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other Metro boards or commissions other than what you're being reappointed to today?
No, I do not.
So tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
So it was so great with the way it happened. I had gotten this email from Kathy Buggs that was like, hey, we've gotten someone in your seat, you're rolling off. And then I realized, like, I don't want to go anywhere. I am doing great work. We're doing No Hate on My Plate. I've just become a, what is it called, Davey? What did I just take the training for?
Oh, a facilitator.
Facilitator, that word wasn't coming. And I'm like, I want to do this work, and I really think that that's one conversation at a time. We can make Nashville even smaller. So I'm ready to roll up my sleeves, keep working.
Absolutely. Pastor Tucker, do you want to speak to this nomination?
Yes, please. For one who wants to do the work and available to do the work, I'd like to have her to continue the work.
Thank you so much. Anything from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Nashville Entertainment Commission reappointment of Hazel Smith for a term expiring on June 20th, 2029. Ms. Smith, thank you so much for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Parking.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other Metro Board commissions other than what you're being reappointed to here today?
No.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
Well, 1 year wasn't enough. We just got started. This is fairly new in Nashville, so we've got a lot of work to do. I've been working in this field for 25 years, and I think I have a lot to offer to bring in terms of what we've done in the entertainment industry, and especially film, and especially for communities of color.
I can definitely appreciate that. Perfect. Thank you for your willingness to continue serving. Because having that institutional knowledge, I think, is really important. So thank you so much for that. Any questions from the committee?
I have one.
Yes.
I know y'all have had some challenges kind of with the executive director search and everything. And so do you feels like everything's kind of gotten past those challenges and that you all are on a better trajectory? And how are you feeling about it?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good about it. There are so many people that are waiting for us to put a person in place. I think it's going to, that's one of the first things that we'll do, once this person has been hired and is in place. So we're excited about that. Yes.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Transportation Authority MTA reappointment of Catherine Hayes for a term expiring July 18th, 2030. Ms. Hayes, thank you so much for waiting patiently.
Sure.
Would you like a bus pass or a parking lot?
Neither, thank you. I feel like I've got all the questions down. I'm a Davidson County resident, and I'm not on any other board. And I'm horrified by your question of, do you watch the meetings? Because although I'm aware that our board meetings are televised, it had never dawned on me how many people could be watching. So I've now got a new thought in my head for the next board meeting.
Sure.
Oh, perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
So I was appointed to finish out someone's term, so I've been on the board for 2 years, and I feel like I've just begun to scratch the surface of institutional knowledge of the Metropolitan Transit Authority, and it's been a delightful term. I've watched a lot of growth and progression from the service and ridership returning to sort of normal and exceeding pre-COVID levels, which has been great. The Dr. Ernest Rip Patton Transit Center in North Nashville opened, which was very exciting. The work that's on the East Bank and Antioch is incredible. And then also, thanks to the passage of the Transit Initiative, we have lots of opportunity to continue to grow, including with the first time ever we have a dedicated officer within the Metropolitan Police Department for Transit Authority Police, which is great because we have to ensure security to increase our ridership. And then I've also been delighted by the creation of a reserve fund for the board and ensuring that we're sort of governing the economics of the agency to ensure its success going forward.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. Got a couple of thoughts that I'm trying to condense into one question. I guess mainly sort of what has been your experience with cooperation across the entire like Nashville metropolitan area and into other counties with providing ridership service? Like,
I feel like it's been very good. The staff of the Transit Authority is incredible. Their knowledge is so deep and they're very passionate about it. And I feel like they are actively and energetically engaging with anyone and everyone around Davidson County to ensure the steady flow of riders both within the county and outside the county. So I feel good about that. I'm not sure I can say it's been like an incredible focus of our work. There's been so much else going on for the board, but I know that the staff thinks about that often.
anything from the Vice Chair?
Yeah. Like, a couple of things real quick. The Transit Authority, how many people are on it?
5.
5, okay. I guess what I want to ask is, as we as a city kind of try to increase ridership, I'm wondering how you feel about the ridership participation of the members of the Transit Authority. Do y'all regularly, like sometimes take transit to the meetings, or?
So I don't think we've done that. I think that is a great idea, and
We'll pass that along?
I will pass that along, and I would hesitate to speak for the other members.
Fair enough. I didn't want to put
Okay.
you too much on the spot. I didn't want to put you on the spot too
I
much.
don't want to misrepresent anyone's ridership, but I think that is a great opportunity.
You all get quick tickets?
We have free.
Yeah, okay.
Steve, I'm sorry. I thought Steve's there. There was Steve behind me. Steve.
Okay. If you will share that, and we
I will.
we've been trying to give out quick
I love
tickets
it.
to,
I love it. And I was applauding I counted 3 people that took the bus pass. So yay for that.
Thank you.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're gonna go back very briefly, and is Mr. Sandhu here?
Is the vendor here?
No.
No.
All right, Vice Chair has moved to 1 meeting deferral.
Second.
I just write down. Oh, okay. Wrote my notes in the wrong place. Okay, so a motion for a 1 meeting deferral. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Okay, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for a 1 meeting deferral. Next, we will take up all items on the board and commission confirmation vote as one item unless there is any objection. I will go ahead and read all of these into the record. The Electric Power Board appointment of Ian Prunty for a term expiring on July 1st, 2030. The Hospital Authority appointment of Alfonso Harvey for a term expiring on July 11th, 2026. Hospital Authority reappointment of Robert Miller for a term expiring on September 6th, 2030. The Human Relations Commission reappointment of Karens for a term expiring on July 21st, 2029. The Human Relations Commission reappointment of Jeff Teague for a term expiring on August 4th, 2029. The Metro Action Commission reappointment of Lisa Buggs for a term expiring July 1st, 2028. Metro Action Commission reappointment of Kanika Covered for a term expiring on July 1st, 2028. Metro Action Commission reappointment of Joseph Mitchell for a term expiring on July 1st, 2028. The Metro Action Commission reappointment of Veronica Yerbe for a term expiring on June 30th, 2028. The National Entertainment Commission reappointment of Timothy Reed Jr. for a term expiring on June 20th, 2029. National Entertainment Commission reappointment of Willie J. Sims Jr. for a term expiring on June 20th, 2029. National Entertainment Commission reappointment of Jeff Syracuse for a term expiring on June 20th, 2029. Is there a motion? Moved and properly seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? That's 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting, and that comes to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to stand adjourned?
So moved.
Right, without objection, we are now adjourned.